Marcus back for another video, and welcome to my studio. Hello, I know you guys usually don't see me in the real world, I'm usually in games, but today I have an interesting video for you guys. I'm going to talk about my 5 smartest and dumbest financial decisions as a 23-year-old Minecraft YouTuber based in New York. So I was inspired to make this video by fellow YouTuber Graham Stephan, who does this stuff all the time. I'm subbed to both of his channels. He has 3 of them, actually, 3 of his channels. I don't know, I figured it'd be interesting. Some people might want to know, what is it like to be a Minecraft YouTuber? What do the finances look like? I'm not going to be sharing the specific numbers, although if you do enough research, you can find it. I haven't really had that much experience talking to a camera before, and my document's over here, so I might struggle a little bit with eye contact, but I'll try. The point of this video is not to flex, which is why I'm not going to be giving specific numbers. But again, if you are curious and want to do the legwork, I am going to tell you that my average RPM for YouTube through AdSense for 2020 was $3.38. So you can go out and do the research. If you know what RPM is in the YouTube studio, then you can do your calculations. But I'm going to, throughout this video, express everything in terms of how much it is relative to a typical month of YouTube earnings. So with that out of the way, for those of you that are new to this channel, I would say blew up in mid 2019 with the release of a game mode called High Pixel Skyblock in Minecraft, and that's around the time when me and my editor Fezzi started doing videos together, and that just, the channel blew up. And ever since then, I've made a lot of choices that have led to me being here in the studio. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of people would be curious. So let's go for it. All right, so we're going to start with the 5 smartest choices I've made. And this is a big one. This first point is split up into like a million little categories. But basically, I micromanage my finances and I track everything using an app called mint.com. I also have a personal Google Doc, which I used before I discovered what Mint was. Yeah, I micromanage everything. For example, I put my phone bill on there, which is Google Fi, which is great for people that work from home because you don't use data. So 20 to 30 bucks a month for my phone. I have an Amazon Prime membership, but I make up for the cost of the Prime membership by having the 5% off credit card through Amazon. So that's really nice. I do all my shopping on Amazon except for food and clothes. I also pay for a PO box, which allows me to produce more interesting content through the fan mail videos, which again pays for itself, not only through the videos themselves going up and the AdSense that generates, but I get some pretty neat stuff. I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do with a sword or an axe or a pickaxe, or I don't know, my subs send some really strange things in the mail, but it is fun, and if I really don't want it, it's a good opportunity for gifting things to my friends. I also never buy food out. I maybe once a month, once every other month, I'll get like a pizza, but DoorDash, Postmates, all of that is not even available in my area. Even if it was, I probably still wouldn't use it much. It is very tempting, but it's a good way to save money to just cook your own food at home. I've been inspired by my dad recently, who's been uploading like a dozen videos in the past month about cooking. So I've just been making all my meals at home. It's pretty good, honestly. I mean, your stomach feels better afterwards. A lot of stuff that you get delivered to your house is greasy, and it might taste okay, but you know, it's probably not warm, like straight off the counter. You know, it's been in a car for like a half an hour. So you just make food at home. Delivery apps, it's expensive, it's not healthy, and it oftentimes doesn't even taste that good. It's okay. It doesn't taste excellent though. I also don't drink coffee, surprisingly. I know a lot of people, I know Graham especially, hates the idea of someone spending $3 to $5 a day at a Starbucks. I don't know. I don't do that, and I don't drink coffee at all. I don't even make my own. What I do is I drink tea, and the packets are like 10-20 cents each, and you know, that's all I need, green tea, to get me through the day. It's not a lot of caffeine. I don't know, I like it, and it's also really cheap. It's like 10-20 cents per cup. Really good. And sometimes, you know, don't tell anyone this, but I just re-pour the water back into the cup with the same tea packet. So you could bring it down to 5 cents a cup, but there's like no value in what I'm drinking. It might as well just be water, but whatever. Between all of my memberships, I'm looking at the document here, I do have a lot of monthly expenses in terms of memberships. You know, I got Google Drive for my YouTube stuff, handing footage between me and my editor. I do have an Epidemic Sound subscription. I have Spotify, YouTube Premium. So, you know, I'm not perfect. You know, if I was to go full cheapo mode, then I could probably get it down to $50 a month or less. But right now, my memberships is $160 a month, which sounds like a lot, but that does include my phone. That's all the entertainment I need. And as we're about to see later, my investments in the stock market are actually going to completely offset that with dividends. So moving on, that was point one. That's 7 minutes for a point. I need to speed this up. Okay, moving on. Point number two, the second smart decision I've made is I've spent this past year opening as many free credit card accounts as possible. That's 6 of them. So I have 6 credit cards now. I put a slight balance on them each month of like, I don't know, $100 or less. And I pay it off in full every month. And what I'm planning on doing is to continue doing that for about 6 months. And then I'm going to request a higher credit limit on all of those cards. And the idea is to increase my credit score. The reason why this is a smart financial choice, at some point I am going to want to move out of here and get my own place. I am renting this place right now, which I'll talk about later, but yeah, I want to get my own place. And if I want to do that and get a decent interest rate, I'm gonna need some decent credit. That's what I'm doing. Also, the Amazon one is freaking great. 5% back on anything I buy on Amazon, which is basically 5% off anything I buy that's not food or clothes. Like, and if I really wanted to, I could buy both on Amazon with Pantry. Buying clothes off Amazon just doesn't seem right to me, but you know. So point number 3 was a situation that's pretty specific to me, and that was partnering with Badline Client. So for those of you that have been around, you know what Badline Client is. It's a way of opening Minecraft with a bunch of mods preloaded onto it. You don't have to go through the effort to install them all manually, and it allows for cosmetics. Like I have a cloak or a cape in Minecraft. I have several of them now that are ThirtyVirus. It's got that coder hacker guy, like the text falling down the screen thing. It looks really cool, and honestly I love it. It's really neat, but it is a really big income driver for me. I would say, I mean, so far I've been partnering with them for about a year, and my experience with them probably has net me about 2 months worth of YouTube ad revenue. So that's substantial. That's 14 months of revenue in 12 months. Yeah, that partnership's really cool because I can promote it as much or as little as I like. I'm not really bound to any terms in the contract, except I just have to use the client to play Minecraft, which I already do anyway because I'm a lazy person. I don't want to spend the time installing all the mods. I can request any changes that I need by the staff, and they usually add it. So it's just overall, it's a no-brainer for me. It's great. The fourth smart thing that I did was back in March of 2020, I joined a Discord that is full of Minecraft creators that like to do stock trades. Apparently, this is a big thing for YouTubers to be invested in the markets, and I asked a bunch of the veterans of that Discord for advice on like, what do I throw my money in? Luckily, the market had, well, luckily for me, the market had just died. Everything was 1/5 the price it usually was. I was told to invest in Square, SPHD, CCL. I think GE was one of them, but I didn't go for that. So I put all of my money into varying stocks and index funds. I ended up putting a lot into SWPPX, VTSAX. I'm trying to remember all of them. I know the nerds, the financial nerds are going to want to know this. Oh yeah, I put a bunch into Jets. That was my own choice. Jets is an ETF for airlines. I figured that since the pandemic hit that they would be hit really hard, but since it's an ETF, and even if a few companies go under, it will recover, and recover it did. Same with Yum Brands, which was another one that was hit really hard in the beginning because they hadn't put in place all the contactless delivery and stuff like that, so was hit really hard, but then recovered really well. SWTSX, which is another S&P 500, I think, or is it a complete market? I don't remember. I have all the information on a document somewhere, so I'm not just cluelessly throwing money at things. I just don't keep it in my brain as I have a financial document for the purpose of each fund. At this point, 50% of my portfolio in the stock market is gains, and the other 50% is what I initially put in. So I've doubled my money. I could have done better. I know there's some people that have gone 5-6 times their portfolio because they just threw it all into Square Bank. Which I did put some into Square Bank. I wanted to go with something safe, and that was my first experience ever with the stock market. Oh, in addition to that, I also maxed out my Roth IRA for 2019 and 2020, which was fun. 12,000. just throwing it in. And that was really scary because I'd never dealt with the stock market before. And fun fact, you know, my main game, Hypixel Skyblock, has a NPC that you can buy and sell items at, and it has a market. You know, the items change in price depending on supply and demand, completely run by players, and that inspired me to get into the market. I'm not kidding. So thank you, Hypixel Skyblock Bazaar. But as I said before, I get about $450 a month in just dividend returns alone between all of my investments. My goal is not necessarily to have dividend yield only. I do want to have a healthy balance of growth stocks and dividend yielding stocks. But technically speaking, $450 a month, so I could pay for my food, my internet, and all of my monthly memberships. All of that I can deal with all with just the dividends. I reinvest dividends automatically, just technically that amount is, you know, accounting for it. I should probably also note that I throw about 75 to 80% of what I make into my investments immediately. So after everything, after paying rent, after paying for all of those things I said earlier, the monthly expenses, food, internet, heat, and electricity, 80% goes to my investments. So I only spend about 20% of what I make, which is way higher than most people from what I heard. And even right now, 80% of my net worth, even after some other purchases I'll get into later, 80% of my net worth right now is in the market, and I invested back when prices were low, and I have been consistently investing since then. Up until 2 months ago, I'm starting to save up for tax season. Okay, so the fifth and final smart thing that I did financially is hiring my editor. So for those of you that don't know, Fezzy the Frog is my editor, and he's honestly my best friend nowadays. We hang out a lot off camera, and we do a lot of streams together as well, but he has a talent for making videos fun. And this was probably the best choice I could have made. Sure, I'd be getting a smaller percentage of the pie, so to speak, by paying an editor, but the pie is now much bigger, which means more for me and more for him. Yeah, many investors will tell you that the best investment you can make is in yourself and in your brand / company, and that has been the case the past 2 years for me. So not only was my video quality substantially increased, but the amount of free time that I had practically tripled because editing for me was meticulous. It took a long time, and I don't know, I can spend that time programming now. I've been doing a lot of programming lately, also writing more scripts instead of just hopping into Minecraft and recording for 20 minutes. I can actually put together an intelligent commentary, kind of like this. Fun fact, the Google Doc for this video is about 4 pages long. That would not be possible if I had to put a video out every single day and edit it. It just doesn't work. So yeah, and even though like 30 to 50% of what I make, depending on the month, goes to Fezzy, I consider it well worth it because, I mean, it allows me to continue growing, allows me to make videos like this, because if the videos were low quality, then people wouldn't give new content a chance, but they do because the content's new and interesting, and it's good. I didn't say this before, but since I started making Hypixel Skyblock content with Fezzy as the editor, the channel has grown in revenue by about 1,500%. I would say that was the best investment that I've made so far. Those were the 5 smartest things that I've done. Now time for the 5 dumbest things. And starting off, I left my YouTube network way too late. For those of you that don't know, I have been a member of Blackshore for about 4 years now. And when the channel blew up, a lot of things happened. I not only increased my revenue, but my views, my subscribers, and eventually got noticed by a YouTube representative. He's one of the guys now. I would consider him a good friend now. He'd be like my YouTube mentor from the inside sort of thing. But once that happened, I realized, you know, I don't need a network anymore. I could pay $15 a month for Epidemic Sound, and I don't need them for insider stuff anymore. What they used to do for me is, for example, when I hit 100,000 subscribers, they got me my check mark right away when channels were waiting 6 months to get it. I got mine within like a week or 2. So that was cool. But now that I have my YouTube rep friend, he can do all that for me for free. From my perspective, he still gets paid by YouTube, obviously, but like, there's not much reason for me to be in the network anymore. The first dumb decision was leaving way too late. I could have left the network back in like November, And here I am in March, and I just clicked the button to leave, which takes 30 days. So it's gonna be like April by the time I'm out of the network. And that's almost 6 months of them taking 5% of my revenue, and 5% of what I've made is a lot. And if you want to count the whole past year, 5% of a year's worth of revenue is 21 days of revenue. It's like 3 weeks of videos. So imagine making 21 videos on your YouTube channel, and that money goes to your network just because an Epidemic Sound subscription and getting a check mark. Now, here's the thing. I think that Blackshore is great. I do like them as a network. I wouldn't recommend most MCNs because, again, this stuff happens, but they do have good connections and they do really good services for you. They helped facilitate the rebranding of my channel to be that coder hacker guy and connected me with the right people to get the right artists. They did a great job, but here's the thing. They don't offer enough for when you get to where I'm at. If you're a smaller YouTuber, 100,000 subs or less, and you're making maybe 2 to 3 million views a video maximum, it could still be worth it. So I'm not going to say don't do it, especially if you're a smaller channel that has like less than 1 million views a month. Absolutely go for it. They will give you the connections you need. They will help you grow. I guess in exchange, you can spend 6 months in the network longer than you should and pay them out as a thank you for what they did to help get you to where you are. I don't know, but that was, yeah, I could have done better. So basically I gave Blackshore about a week and a half of free videos that I had to put the work in but not get paid for. The second stupid decision was in the stock market. Like I said, my first ever experience with the stock market was in March of 2019. So as you can imagine, being a newbie, I did make a fatal mistake. Now, luckily, I learned a lot from that mistake and I've recovered since then. But I mentioned one of my investments was Carnival Cruise Lines. I put a lot of money into Carnival. I put about 10,000 in at first, and then it shot up and I was really excited. And then it dipped and I was like, oh, this is the time to put more in. So I put 10K more in. I had 20K into CCL, and like an idiot, it dropped from $21 to $14 in 2 days, and I freaked the hell out and I sold. I sold emotionally. And then almost like a week later, it was back up at like 25, 26. I would have made a lot of money, but I did I'm so mad, but I learned my lesson. And it's that to not trade emotionally. And that's when it really got cemented in my brain to do the long-term investing thing with ETFs. Individual stock trading is risky. It's scary. It hurts to watch your portfolio go down by like 10% in 2 days. That's no. I mean, that happens nowadays with Square after they invested in Bitcoin. Like it or not, I'm kind of involved in crypto now. At least now I know that these times will pass as long as the company has good ideals and has a bright future. I should not have to worry about something like that. That being said, Carnival Cruise Lines is not a company that I really think would do well long term. So again, I learned a lot from that experience, and even though it cost me about $7,000, I learned my lesson and have not lost money on any investments since then. I would say I'm fully recovered, if not well above, where I would have been had I just not sold. Here's the funny thing. If that never happened to me, my portfolio might actually be less than it is now because I wouldn't have learned as much about the market. So it was still dumb, but I learned from it. A lot of people are going to roll their eyes at this one. Buying a brand new car. This was bad. Honda does offer a 1.75% interest loan, which is great. That's the lowest interest rate I've ever seen on a vehicle financing plan. That being said, I did not need to spend $20,000 on a car. I could have easily gotten like a 2005 Honda Civic. I got a 2020 Honda Civic LX hatchback. Did not need to do that. Could have just got a 2005 one for like $3,000 or less, $2,000. And I could have driven it around for a few years. Buying a brand new car is bad because it basically degrades in value extremely fast. Like if I were to drive that thing for 5 years, I probably wouldn't even be able to sell it for like $15,000. So that's $5,000 just gone. Whoops. But again, I learned my lesson. Buying new cars, not the best idea. Maybe if it's a Tesla, it'd be a decent idea because then you get the Tesla insurance, which is really cheap. And also being a 23-year-old driver, I have to pay $230 a month for insurance. And I don't drive much. I work from home. So this car has been costing me a lot of money that I didn't need to spend. But as time goes on, the insurance will go down. Once the world opens up, we'll hopefully be driving more. It's been almost a year since I got the car, and I've only driven 3,000 miles. That was not necessary, but I guess another learning experience. So here's another one. Moving into my own place was a dumb financial decision, and here's why. $1,200 a month in rent plus $200 in utilities for a year is about 17 grand. Why did I do that? Both of my parents separately offered for me to move in to their place after I dropped out of college, which that's another thing entirely. Dropping out of college, I didn't even put that in the list. That was one of my smartest choices as well, because it let me put time into YouTube. But anyways, yeah, as much as it's nice to have the independence and being able to just record at any time, I wasted a lot of money doing that. If I spent 1 year living with like my mom, for example, I could have saved up enough money to put a down payment on my own place. And that's the other thing too. I'm paying rent. I'm not paying a mortgage. So that money that I spend just kind of goes to someone else. It's no longer my money. Whereas if I were to pay a mortgage, that money's still going into something I own. So it's like, I'm just moving my money, if you think about it. If it's a good investment, I'm just moving my money, not spending it. Yeah. The last dumb financial decision that I made was paying off my college loan in full before any interest was accrued. Now, the reason why that was dumb, I did this back when the market was low. I could have invested that $20,000 into the market and then turned it into $40,000. But I spent it on my college loans, and I wanted to get rid of it. I wanted that part of my life to be done and over with, which is cool. But because of the virus, I didn't have to pay interest until, I'm pretty sure even now, students don't have to pay interest on their loans. I could have literally just thrown that money into like Square, for example, 20 grand, and then now it would be worth like 80 grand. I could take that 80 grand out and then pay my loan now and have 60 grand. But I didn't know that, to be fair. Even if I didn't know that, right, I could have put it into, for example, I don't know, VT Sacks and have like an 8% average return over a year. And I would have made 8% of 20 grand. I can't do math right now. What was that? 1.6K? I think so. Anyways, those are the 5 smartest and dumbest financial decisions I've made as a 23-year-old Minecraft YouTuber based in New York. Since I live in New York, I am gonna have to pay some hefty taxes. So maybe another thing I should do is move to Pennsylvania, which is close, but no income tax. But I don't know, we'll see. My future plans, of course, I want to move into my own place, put a down payment on it, and then start paying a mortgage, which is again just moving my money somewhere else that is not just being spent and then sent to the void. And that would still leave me on the hook for utilities, car payments, insurance, which would come to about $800 a month between everything. And as 2021 progresses, I hope to contribute about 90% of what I make into the markets and be able to get that growth of the portfolio up, as well as dividends. Healthy balance of both. I'm not going all in on dividends because I know they can cut it and then I get screwed. But yeah, so I'm hoping to make my money work for me. That's the other thing too. I want to open either a 401k or an SEP account. That's just saving my taxes. Also, another financial choice that's really smart that I didn't put on the list is getting a really good CPA. Tax season's coming up. I had a lot of business expenses last year, and I should be able to reduce my taxable income by half or more, hopefully. I hope you guys liked this video. It was a bit different from normal. What do you think of these kind of videos? I, again, mostly do gameplay stuff, so talking to a camera is kind of new to me. It's interesting. But hopefully, if Graham Steffen's watching this, hello. I've been a avid watcher of your videos since about June, July last year. So I've learned a lot since then, thanks to you. And I would like to say thank you. I feel like I actually have a future financially. As long as this YouTube thing keeps going for a few more years, I could technically retire early. Not gonna do that, but yeah, it's nice to feel safe that there's like a buffer. You know, that if all else fails, I can, you know, instead of having my dividends automatically reinvested, I could just pay rent with it. But, or mortgage if I do things right. Anyways, I guess that's it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later.